Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Run in the Paint recap. I'm Miles here with Ben. Ben, how are you doing today?
Doing well.
Want to give a shout out to you, Ben. I mentioned it at the end of the last podcast episode. Congratulations on graduating high school. Super huge, dude.
Yeah, thanks. That feels great. And now, time for me to move on to my next chapter of life, which is college at Ohio University. I'll be studying sports media down there in their super good journalism program. So, yeah, I can't wait for that going forward.
Yeah, super excited to see what your future holds now after
Uh,
during this summer. And that's game two of the Eastern Conference Finals. And Ben, I don't know, I don't know how much we could have expected both conference finals to have 2-0 leads. The West maybe could have saw that coming with Oklahoma City. Definitely wouldn't have thought that in the Eastern Conference that once again Indiana takes both games at home.
yeah, I definitely d- um haven't totally expected what has happened either, when just both series really.
Yeah, it really has been incredible. Last night in game two of the Eastern Conference Finals, Indiana went in and stole another game in Madison Square Garden, 114 to 109 to take a 2-0 lead in the Eastern Conference Finals. They've won their last in the NBA and incredible. Even right from the start, from this Pacers offense where it isn't just one singular guy that's getting it done. They do it as a collective. But in this game particularly, Pascal Siakam and the way he was able to start off this game scoring the first, I believe, 11 points, really set the tone for Indiana. Ben, what were your thoughts on how Siakam started this game and how he was able to carry it through to his 39-point outing?
So it was just like right from the jump in the beginning of the game. They just gave the basketball to Siakam, and then Siakam just wanted to be aggressive, and he was putting up shots and making them, and that just you know got the Pacers off to a great start of the game, and Siakam was just able to be impressive still throughout the game, even after that hot start where he scored the Pacers' first 11 points. He just was consistently great all game, and the Pacers, I thought before game two, needed a huge game from Siakam like they got from him tonight to be able to pull off a win. So that was huge, his performance for them tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Pascal Siakam, a player who had a very good regular season, has obviously been a very good player over the last few seasons. But in these playoffs, despite the Pacers having this incredible and unbelievable run, Siakam really hasn't been anything too special, really, in these playoffs. He hadn't, since the first three games against Milwaukee, hadn't really had any standout games in these playoffs. He didn't really have any crazy games breaks out in this game, and he was doing it all the free throw line. He was huge, and the way that they started this game, Indiana, having a double-digit lead immediately, it almost felt like, all right, once again, the Pacers are just off to an incredible start like they were in game one, hitting all their shots. And on the New York side of things, it looked like it took them a little bit to get into the rhythm after their heartbreaking loss in game one. But to their credit, after the Pacers had a 10-point lead, New York started to play their style of basketball, getting on the glass, getting some second chance opportunities, and they got right back into the game.
Yeah, that's exactly true. And yeah, During the first few minutes, the Knicks were kind of struggling defensively, especially on Siakam. But then they, locked in some more, and the Knicks just played great, defensively from there through, all the way till the end of the first half. And um, Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson ended up coming into the game, and they then gave the Knicks a spark off the bench. McBride had some nice buckets and was making an impact, and Mitchell Robinson was just giving the Pacers a hard time down low. He was just getting rebounds and just you know fighting hard for rebounds, and with size, it's just giving the Pacers trouble too when he came in.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we kind of see the same formula where New York has the huge rebounding advantage, especially on the offensive glass, which is something that is a clear advantage for them in this series, and they have been taking advantage of it in that aspect because besides that, down the stretches of games, but and the Knicks. We go into the fourth quarter and the game is tied up at 81 apiece, I believe. And then in the fourth quarter, Indiana again just started making plays to try to extend their lead a little bit. Ben, what did you see from the Pacers in that fourth quarter that kind of allowed them to extend their lead up to 8 to 10 points?
I saw, that um, you know that whether the Knicks made some baskets or whether they missed some shots, that the Pacers just found ways to get out quick in transition, and the Knicks were too slow in getting back, and Pacers just took advantage of that really well by moving quick and doing great in transition, and I think the Knicks just started being too stagnant too offensively, and looked like they were starting to get kind of tired too, the Knicks. But I mean, it shouldn't be an excuse for no. That's why you weren't able to hustle hard enough. They should have hustled better. I think.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. I mean, we kind of saw that in the overtime of game one where they gave up on some play, or not gave up, but fell asleep on certain plays, giving up second chance opportunities. And it cost them there. Did the same thing for them in game two, whether it was off of makes or misses. There were a few times where Knicks would miss a shot and someone's leaking out for the Pacers, whether it's Obi Toppin for a dunk, Siakam for a layup. They were just getting a lot of those opportunities, in fast break situations. And those are things that again, they just can't happen. I mean, the Pacers have been making those speed in New York. For the New York Knicks, Jalen making so many tough, ridiculous shots, but really no one else was able to have that big of a standout performance. Mikal Bridges stepped up in the fourth quarter. He had 10 of his 20 points in the fourth quarter. OG had a better game in this game than in game one. But the name that we do have to talk about, Ben, has got to be Carl Anthony Towns because we have a situation here where gives you okay numbers on the offensive end. He gives you 20 points, gives you 7 rebounds, shoots the ball decently well, but then you see his defensive impact and lack thereof, and it doesn't allow him to play impact minutes in the fourth quarter. Ben, what have you seen from Towns specifically in this game?
I saw that you know he scored a decent amount of points. He had 20 points. He was able to get open for some shots and make some, so that helped. But yeah, he kind of struggled. I thought defensively today. I mean, he wasn't the best. I would say with the rebound, he was kind of having a hard time crashing the glass, and um, he just sometimes when he was guarding guys just gave the Pacers guys too much room to be able to, put up a shot and, you know, some of those shots the Pacers made and they made him and the Knicks paid.
Yeah, Towns didn't really have that much of an impact in the second half on either end. He scored most of his points there in the first half, but further into this, the Pacers would have ever thought this team would be 2 wins away from the NBA Finals in this sort of fashion again. I mean, I don't know how many people had them winning both games in New York. But heading forward in this series, going back to Indiana, of course, Knicks now going to be heavy underdogs down 0-2 in this series, losing both games at home. What do you think the Knicks need to do to adjust, whether it's a lineup change, something strategy wise? What do you think that the Knicks need to try and get mustered up in time for game 3, which will be on Sunday night back in Indy?
Well, I mean, I don't know if too much really they could do with like a lineup change. I mean, I know they had Robinson and McBride coming off the bench too and doing well, and they keep him off the bench, but they still played, I'd say a nice amount of minutes, even in game two. I just think, the Knicks just got to hustle better. Um, they got to get more ball movement, get more guys moving offensively to try and make things harder on the Pacers defensively, and they can't let the Pacers get easy transition points. They got to be ready to sprint back right away on defense, even after they make a basket, and they just gotta cover the Pacers' good shooters better too, not let them have a lot of space. Um, just on offense when they're trying to get open an open shot look.
Yeah, I mean, Neesmith to go off like crazy. Halliburton struggled shooting the ball. We haven't even mentioned his game yet after his incredible heroics in game 1. He had 14 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds. Didn't shoot the ball all that well, but he made key shots. He only made 5 baskets, but I felt like the 3 threes especially he made were all at key points in the ball game. And were certainly important. Ben Shepherd was huge, making a couple threes off the bench. He got more minutes. Of course, TJ McConnell and his few minutes off the bench gave them a spark as well. I definitely agree that the New York Knicks definitely need to hustle more and just try to get more energy up. I know it's so hard when you're playing all these guys this many minutes. I think that it is a fair, thing to talk about once again with how shallow New York is. And they did make a nice just hasn't really had the bodies to muster up a full 48 minutes of basketball, which Pacers have been able to. And it's something that we've talked a lot about on this podcast. That's where the Pacers have a huge advantage is that they're able to, throughout their lineup, 1 through 10, even going deeper if they need to. We even saw some Tony Bradley in this game. Like,
Yeah, that was funny. But
yeah,
I
like,
mean, I think it worked out fine for the Pacers because they needed some more height to try and stop like Mitchell Robinson to try and rebound well. So I it worked out fine. Some good thinking there to go that deep tonight into your bench by Rick Carlisle.
yeah, I think it's very likely because you're right. I mean, he's just a Bradley a little bit of a floor spacer. an energy type of guy, but he just doesn't really have the size like a Tony Bradley has, trying to box out guys like Towns and Robinson when they are both on the floor. Because we did see that a lot in this game. I wonder if we'll see more of it in games 3 and 4 with Towns and Robinson on the floor together. We'll see if the Knicks try to play a little bit bigger. But overall, man, Indiana this continues to be so impressive, man. I mean, just what have your thoughts been overall on the Indiana Pacers throughout this whole playoff run and in these 2 games so far in New York?
Just really impressive. They're a relentless team. They just fight and never give up. And I mean, they're just really impressive with their shot making all throughout the playoffs. They've really have turned into a great shooting team, and they can play great defense. And I love that they've really bought into playing the fast pace they play. I mean that really fast pace is just giving different teams trouble, and the pace is given all three teams they have gone up against in the playoffs. Trouble at times. Too. So, um, yeah, just super impressed with the Pacers. I mean, I thought that they were pretty good going the playoffs, but I didn't think they were gonna look this good. They've just been unbelievable and been playing on an e- they've been playing at an even higher level when it's mattered most.
Yeah, again, they continue to look like the best team in the playoffs just based off of their playoff. Go to Indianapolis. 4 games, 3 and 4 over already. Do the Pacers have this wrapped up now that they already have stolen both games in MSG?
I mean, I'm gonna say it's over yet, but it's gonna be hard for the Knicks. They're in trouble still. I think as it's so important for the Knicks to try and come out and at least get one of the games at home and with your awesome, home crowd there supporting you. And yeah, it was just a huge bummer that they were close, but just fell short in both games. And the Knicks are really just gonna have to, do what we said before here. This recap, what they got to do better if they want a chance to get back into this series. They're just gonna have to lock in, hustle better, and you know, hopefully get more from other guys outside of Brunson to hopefully open more things up. But um, it's not going to be easy. This Pacers team, I mean, they're just super good, and it's going to be hard now trying to go into the Pacers arena where they have the Pacers backs. Those fans, the Pacers team is just so good, so that's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's obviously going to be very tough. I I wouldn't count the Knicks out either, because of how they have played in these playoffs. But it is obviously going to be very difficult, and I think that with Indiana going back after having the experience as to and then in the other game, kind of like in this game too, where they get a lead late in the fourth quarter and they just make the plays down the stretch to close it out. In that series, after they went up 2-0 in Cleveland, they went back to Indiana and put up a stinker in game 3 against the Cavs. And just didn't play that well before putting the hammer on in games 4 and 5. I wonder I'm if the Pacers now in this series, after going through what they did in the Cavs series, know what is at stake. You are 2 wins away from the NBA Finals, and those Pacers fans, like you said, they're going to be as loud as that place has probably ever been. I mean, you think the Pacers have always been a pretty solid team with the Paul George, Dwight Hibbert, David West team time since the Reggie Miller era, where I think the Pacer fans should rightfully think this team can win a championship. This team can win a championship, and they are coming in with all the momentum.
Yeah, I agree. This Pacers team has just been so good on both ends of the floor. Their fast pace, I mean, to me, definitely makes them a threat up for possibly winning a championship this year. And they go on to the finals and have to play OKC. Say, yeah, that would be a tough series, of course, for them. OKC, that's another great team who I also think has a nice shot too, to possibly win it all. But um, Pacers fans should definitely be really excited. I mean, they've just been unbelievable, and great Pacers basketball's back, and um, I- those fans, should be just so thrilled and really hoping that they could finally, see their team, the Pacers, win a championship for the first time, as they've never won a championship in their franchise's history before.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what that atmosphere is going to look like back at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. It's going to be on a whole nother level now, because it's even crazy to think because they took care of the Cavs, so quickly in the second round, and then played these first two games in New York. They're not going to have played at home in 2 weeks on Sunday. The Pacer fans haven't seen their team at home in 2 weeks, and so much has happened since the last time
Yeah,
that they were there on the Mother's Day massacre. A fun atmosphere there, especially. It's also going to be, I believe, the in Indianapolis, but gonna be absolutely incredible. Ben, do you have anything else on this game in this overall series?
it's just, even though Indiana's won in two close games so far this series, I think it's been a great series still. I'm glad we've gotten some great games so far this series, and I think, the Pacers Arena will be rocking, I mean, and it should be. This fan should be super excited, That I would be if I were a Pacers fan, because this was the Cavs now doing what the Pacers were doing. I'd be so excited,
It's pretty much like I feel the way the Pacers have been playing, it's just experienced it with all the hot stuff doing it here in the playoffs, and it certainly has been fun to three of the Western Conference Finals with Oklahoma City up 2 games to none on Minnesota as the series shifts to Minneapolis for game three. That'll be at 8:30 on ABC. Minnesota looking to get back into the series after losing both games in Oklahoma City. Ben, what have your thoughts been on the first 2 games of those series of that series? Because we haven't had you on to really discuss that series yet.
Thunder have been just so good defensively. They continue to do a great job at forcing turnovers, and just they've made things difficult on the Timberwolves offensively so far this game. I mean this series, but I said before on this podcast that Julius Randle is my biggest X factor going into the series, and I think that turned out to be a good point. Whenever he's played well, which he played well in the first half of game one, the Timberwolves played well. But then outside of that, he hasn't played too well this series, and then the Timberwolves just really weren't playing too well as a team. So Randall's got to step it up again. Hopefully, the home crowd can get him going in game three. And also, not much for Rudy Gobert or Naz Reid or DiVincenzo either. hope, for the Timberwolves that the home crowd could get those guys going too, and they could start making big impacts again for the Timberwolves. And they're really going to need that if they want to try and get back in this series at home starting in game 3.
Yeah, I mean, to your point on the Wolves side of things, with those three guys in particular, the guys you just mentioned, DiVincenzo is 6 for 22 from the field in this series. He hasn't made a three yet in this series, and that's also Mike Conley has scored. Given them pretty much nothing so far in this series, and then Randall after the first half. I think you're absolutely spot on with the assessment there because even just going half by half, first half of game one, he has 20 points. He has a +3, and that was obviously Minnesota's best half of the series. They had a lead at halftime of that game. In the second half, the Wolves got outscored by 30. Randall was a -20 in the second half. And then in game two, 6 points for Randall in 32 minutes, doesn't even step on the floor for a second in the fourth quarter, and he's a -15. So basically, when he plays well, like you said, Minnesota has a positive I mean, that's definitely for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And um, yeah, I wouldn't count the Timberwolves out yet, but there's some trouble, and they got to win game 3. It's like a must win for them. You really can't go down 3-0. You really can't.
Nope, no, obviously no team has ever come back from that in league history, and you're going up against this Thunder team where their top three guys and Shea, J-Dub, and Chet Holmgren all playing really good basketball through 2 games in that series. And SGA, the MVP of the league, and the 5 most important games of his career, the first 2 of this series, last 3 of the Denver series, has scored, I believe, 30 in all the games, at least 30. He's played his best Oklahoma City. Definitely impressive. Obviously, the Western Conference Finals from Minnesota. Ben, I think that's all we have here today. Do you have anything else before we get out of here?
I don't, but can't wait for some more playoff basketball, of course.
Yes, sir. Hope you guys are all enjoying the playoffs, and we will be back to recap game 3 of that important Western Conference final. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA postseason content. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one.